Welcome to Unbox Your World, the podcast where philosophy meets tech. In each episode, we're connecting the dots between philosophy, technology, society, science, and progressive thought. And together with brilliant minds across the world who dare to challenge the way we think and live in today's society, we are unboxing our minds one episode at a time. I am Maria Salting. I am a tech professional during the day and a philosopher at night. So let's get started. Let's unbox ourselves. Welcome back to Unbox Your World. What happens if we don't just put humans, but all life on Earth at the center as we design businesses, products, and services? For the past decades, we've designed our societies and products putting humans at the center, so-called human-centered design. But at what cost? Well, our planet, of course, fueled by the consumption of oil. The good news is that the tools to design businesses, services, and products in symbiosis with the planet actually already exist. It is called life-centered design. In this episode, I've interviewed the Swedish design ecologist and system innovation strategist Anna Gyllenklev about life-centered design and how this can benefit our businesses today. You will learn what life-centered design is and why businesses should care. The basic principles of life-centered design. Some real-life examples of how products or services could be designed according to life-centered design. And what would be the business reasons or benefits about caring for these design principles? And lastly, what would be a simple way to get started? So let's dive in. Welcome, Anna Gyllenklev, to Unbox Your World.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Yes, I am really looking forward to this topic. It's something that I know that both you and I have very dear to our hearts, which is life-centered design. So if we just dive right in, what is life-centered design and why should businesses care about this?
Yeah, so I just want to say that life-centered design is heavily debated of what it is. So I had sort of crafted a definition for you to make it tangible. So life-centered design, also called LCD, is a design approach or philosophy that expands the focus beyond humans to also include like entire living systems. So we are speaking about the planet, other species and ecosystems. So that's basically what it is. And why businesses should care. I mean, I thought about this question and I mean, my very direct question back is like, if everything on the planet is dead, would your business still be alive? And the answer should be no. And this is also why you should care, because life-centered design sort of encourage the planet to keep on living, and we need it in order to have our businesses. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it eventually, yes. It's just a matter of how quickly people get to that conclusion, right?
Exactly, and this is why I bring it up, because I think it is a good, I mean, because we are quite poor of thinking in the future or being in the future as humans. Not all of us, but the majority. So therefore we need to think about how we can actually design businesses or value propositions or products that keep on feeding the ecology that sustains us. So that's the reason. And then we're gonna dive into other reasons later, like how it can benefit businesses and so forth.
So what is the difference in short between life-centered design and what we have today, human-centered design?
I mean, so human-centered design is basically focusing on like which problem are we solving and how are we solving it for humans, while life-centered design is instead expanding that and asking sort of what does the ecosystem needs and what does the future need, and how do we design for afterlife. So not only the product, also how it goes into the system again, and encourage us to think more as nature actually, and instead of thinking human-centric, anthropocentric, it thinks of the whole.
So basically, the way I see it is kind of a little bit going back to basics. We have been thinking it's just most a matter of like the last decades or so. We have primarily been like during the industrialization, we've been putting, okay, we put the human in the center. This is what the product or service we want to design for, this is what we want to do, and we're optimizing for the human. But what we have realized later on is that this has come at a cost of the planet, right? That we have depleted primarily our oil resources, which is the primary driver of the industrialization itself. But instead of putting the only human in the center, we put all life on Earth, right, at the center. So we're still optimizing for humans, but it's only one little tiny piece of the whole ecosystem to make everything work in symbiosis with nature, right?
It's also exactly what you're saying. It's not, instead of having human in the center, we place life in the center. So instead of having a hierarchy where we are like on top of the world, we sort of are just included in a relational worldview. And when we do that, we sort of also need to shift some world views, actually how we look at the world, how we design not only for one customer, but also actually thinking about other species as also supporting customers or supporting the ecosystem. So this is the main difference, I would say. And of course, it's much more complex, because it's complex to design only for one customer. So when you expand it to the entire world, businesses don't understand how they should do that, because it's complex as it is.
Yes. But it is possible, right?
It is.
That is the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is possible. And there are businesses working with it, but we still do not have all of the infrastructure in place. So it is still difficult to do it, but it is possible.
Yeah. So if you just walk through then the basic principles of life-centered design. Again.
Yeah. So there are different principles, and these are also debated. So I scoured the internet in order to find the best list for you. And one of the principles that I think is one of the most important is designing for all life equally. So this is, again, including more than humans. And then the second principle is designing with and as nature. And I don't know if you have heard of biomimicry. It's a way of designing when we look at nature and we sort of extract specific features from nature, or we are inspired by them, and then we design trains to increase speed, for example. So biomimicry is one way to do that. So designing with and as nature is the second principle, and designing in collaboration rather than designing for. So today we design for a customer, but in life-centered design, we design actually in collaboration with a lot of different stakeholders. So we bring in those viewpoints in the product and in the ecosystem. And then also designing for the health of the whole. So also when you design, you do not only make design decisions for a specific product, you think of the whole. Like, okay, what will happen if we make this decision with this product? If we zoom out and look at it. And then, of course, designing with the future and past in mind, holding those as well. Like, which future generations will be impacted about this with this product in the future? Why and how? Because we need to include them in the story as well. So also thinking about the timeline is important.
Yeah, going back to biomimicry, I like to say, that like nature is incredibly intelligent, right? So just trying to take inspiration from it and mimicking it, like nature itself has the ability to self-heal. How cool is that, right? When we get vaccines, we grow stronger the next day. We don't just survive. We also actually grow stronger. So that is like, there is a lot of inspiration to be taken from nature, right? Instead of just trying to stay stable, we can actually grow.
Yeah, and I would also argue that growing is more stable than staying stable, because we speak about stable as something static today, but I really think it is more about growing into becoming all the time like nature. But we have this fixed mindset that stable is something static, that we know this is the way. But also, and as you said, like nature has incredible, like if you're a designer or a business and you start to look at nature, you will find so many solutions that you can actually craft and use in products.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you for it. It was a good run through of those principles. So if we move into the real life world, do you have an example of a product or a service that has been designed or could be designed according to life-centered design principles?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna run you through two examples that are real life examples. One of them is a product, and the other one is just bringing in other stakeholders and how this shift how we design. So the first example is this is a concept called The Light. It was crafted in the Netherlands 2021, and the concept is street lights in the city inspired by fireflies, ants, and lobsters. So what they basically did was they wanted to use light to reduce light pollution. So we have a lot of light pollutions in the cities, and this of course affects species, but also humans a lot. So they wanted to bring down and reduce the light pollution and the ecosystem disruption that comes with that. So they sort of studied fireflies, 3 animals. Fireflies, because they wanted to know how they transmit light. And then they studied Sahara silver ants, because they wanted to see how they stay cool, so reducing, And then they studied lobster eyes, because they wanted to see how they focused light, like how they use reflection. And based on those biological insights, because this is basically what you get out of that, you look at these 3 animals and you have biological insights that then you can put into a product. And they crafted this lamp, The Light. So what they did, they sort of direct light into a specific angle. So we no longer have this light spill, it's called. So they reduce this sky glow. That's one of the main things that they did. And then they also incorporate features. So insects could live in this. This is like if you're in the city and look at a lamp, this big, tall light lamp, it looks exactly like that, just that they have incorporated these different features. So they incorporate insects, refugees, plant space, so plants could grow in certain ways. And then also they looked at how water was flowing when it's raining, for example. And by doing this, they sort of included the whole ecosystem, not, of course, the entire ecosystem, but they included a lot of species that would not be included in this design. And also they decreased the light pollution and this sky glow, so that both humans and other species are actually becoming more healthy in this park. So this is a quite good example how you can incorporate life-centered design principles. They have not incorporated all of them, but they have used biomimicry then to create this product. And then another example, because I think also we cannot only speak of products all the time, because we have a lot of things that we also, it's not products. I worked with an innovation, what's it called? Nu glömde jag, platform, an innovation platform called Regenerator. And they have a mission to regenerate the whole food system in Sweden until 2038. And we did this, it's like system actors map. You can say it's a stakeholder map. So you sort of look at all the actors that are involved in different fields today, and then you make one for the future. So you make one today, and then you make one for the future where the whole food system have been regenerated. So and then you can sort of craft strategies based on them. And what we did in the future map, we sort of brought in soil health as an actor, so that and then we redraw the relationship so that the soil health actually informed the politicians before they made decisions about different lands. So this is also a way to use life-centered design principles to bring in actors in constellations that soil health, for example, is not visible. So that's two real-life projects from different perspectives.
I think actually the food industry is probably a very good example actually of where life-centered design is actually like making also more like time sensitively sense to focus on this, because it's an area where we're directly impacted by our ecosystems, right? So that is an early pioneer in that. So I think these two examples, maybe you want to share the links afterwards, so it's possible to read about them. But I think, and also, I mean, it was not very recent that sadly we saw that the 7th out of the 9 planetary boundaries has already been, what is it called in English? Been overridden. So it is obvious. I mean, we all know that we need to transition into sustainable future, right? We know it, but it's far ahead, and we're on different timelines though, right? How urgent we think it is, right? So what would be yes, we all know that we need to be living more sustainably, but if we try to look at it from a more like urgent angle, like more close in time, like what would be the business reasons or benefits of caring about life-centered design and starting doing that already now? Like why should businesses care?
I mean, I think the obvious reason I think is like you are future-proofing your business, so it's more about risk, and specifically if you have a business that are working with some sort of materiality. So you have and materiality can also be food, like some sort of materiality. Well, then I mean, if we have this environmental crisis and resource depletion or scarcity and all of that. Then if the companies doesn't shift until thinking about the ecosystems and how we actually can design for more regenerative because that's what it is. When we use life-centered design principles, we start to regenerate, and that means basically that we feed back more to the system, and we feed back to the system so it can continue living. Instead of just sustainability, that means like reducing harm, basically, just to simplify it.
So regenerative is kind of sustainability 2.0, right? Where you rebuild the earth and not just sustain it.
Exactly. So you need to think about, like, as I mentioned in the beginning, like the end of life or birth, living, death. so if you think about the product, you give birth to it, you live with it, and then it dies. How does it go back, and to which systems? Because there is many systems. So one example about system boundaries could be like, if you eat a fruit or you have a fruit, then it's the food system, and when you eat it, it's the healthcare system. So suddenly you have two different systems that you are actually affecting just with one product. So I mean, so future proofing, looking at risk, and just see like, will my company survive in the future and how long? Because as you mentioned in the beginning, like maybe the earth won't die until 200 years. So then it doesn't matter maybe for some people. But then I think,
although we have longevity now,
yeah.
so we might live until we're 200 years old.
Yes, I hope not. I mean, I just imagine how static our mindsets will be after 200 years. I mean, the plasticity of the mind decreases when we age. So it will be not a world that are fun. But then back to your question.
Unless science solves for that too.
Yeah. And back to your question about like how this could benefit business. I think also like some sort of market alignment. Like, I think we are moving into, and this is more speculative answer. So I think we are moving into new markets and we are requesting other types of products. So I think like if you as a company invest in life center design, you will be in the forefront of these markets, basically.
So you can become the Patagonia of something, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, the Patagonia of light.
And also, I mean, the Gen Zers, they are taking over the labor market, right? And they, I don't remember the exact number, but it was a very high number that research the environmental policies before they accept the job. I think it was plus 50% or something like that. So it is, it's shifting, right?
Yeah, it is moving, and there is also a lot of other movements I see that are pushing. Like systems innovation is one movement, make it regenerative is one movement, and there's a lot of movements going on to make the shift happen. So, and also like I think a lot of people, and I'm just going to generalize this, but I think a lot of people are also sick of no other alternatives to buy like products, like that there is just what it is, and we need other alternatives. It can still be the same value proposition, just that we design the product differently. So we can still solve the same problems. We just need to do it differently.
Yeah. So what would be those who are interested and curious, but it just like this sounds like overwhelmingly difficult? What would be a simple way to get started at a small scale?
So I will give you two advices. Some small enough to act on. The first one is add, and what I mean is that expand your user to include more than humans. It's so simple, because as soon as you add them, you start to think differently, and you will start to also think about the design differently. So look at the products you have and add whatever it is, if it's water or if it's, I don't know, flies or cows, or it could be any species that you think is suitable for your actor map. And also sort of start to you can start ask yourself, what other species are affected by this? And then you choose. Yeah. And then the other act is basically zooming out. So looking at your product or service as a participator. So you zoom out and look at it as a whole. Okay, if my product and service is a participator in society, how does it contribute? Which behaviors, which values is it bringing with it? Because all products and services also have embedded values in them. And when you do that, you will also start to think about the whole. Again, back to this idea of thinking about ecosystem. So that's also two very, very easy, low barrier acts to act upon, to start.
That's good advice. To start with asking the question, right? Which also shifts the mindset, also, which you were going back to as well before. So that's good. And I think also doing is better than perfect, right?
Yes.
It's better to do something right than nothing right.
I mean, just start also, like, because we have these ideas that everything will be perfect. It will never always be perfect, you know. We will say the wrong words or forget words or whatever, but just start. That's the point. Like, write it up. It doesn't have to be a beautiful map. You can just write the species and start.
I think that is often like the danger, or what is it called? Potential trap or whatever when it comes to sustainability, that it's easy to be like, there's no point doing this because already doing this, like, which is worse. But it's all, you know, like when it comes to like recycling, for example, like there's no point because flying anyways, or whatever it is, you know. But it's always better to do something right.
Yeah, and I mean,
than nothing.
If you start to do something, you are at least taking one step further. I mean, in that sense, I think it is good enough. We don't have to figure everything out at the same time. We don't have to have all the answer. Someone will always, for example, if you take this D-light example, someone will of course ask, oh, what about the materiality? How was it sustainable produced? So there will always be questions that we need to dive into after, but we need to start somewhere. And I mean, crafting that product is starting somewhere. Yeah.
Great. This was a very to the point interview, but I think it was very hands-on. Thank you for that. I look forward to sharing this.
Nice. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
If anyone wants to read more, do you have any tips or?
Yeah, let's add some links in the podcast so they can read more about the topics we've been discussing today.
Will do. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
That's it for today. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. And if you want to read up more about the guest, then you can go to the show notes to get all of the links. And also, if you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter to never miss the latest episode. Thank you for today. See you in the next episode.